And so we're going to hear now from Darrell Wade, who's the chairman of Intrepid, which is an Australian tour operator that operates globally. He's going to talk more about what his company is doing and what our industry needs to do towards really being sustainable.
Hi everyone. Let me start off by saying how much I wish I was with you all in Cancun. I'm very much stuck here in Melbourne. Some of you may know that Australia has been very successful in controlling coronavirus. In fact, we've hardly had any local transmissions for about 7 weeks now. But if there is a downside to our success, it is that we have a very restrictive policy on international travel. I'm talking to you today for 3 key reasons. Firstly, to give you an update on where we are at in regards to sustainability. Secondly, to share with you a real personal journey. And finally, to extend an invitation to you. I don't need to tell you that COVID has been a major topic for not just our industry, but for the entire world for the last year. But something surprising has been going on at the same time. I think many of us expected that sustainability would fall away under the health and economic pressures of managing the virus. In fact, the opposite has been true. Sustainability has found a new energy that has never been seen before. You only need to pick up a copy of the Financial Times, and every day you will see a raft of news stories. Some are talking about fires, frosts and floods, the increasingly severe impacts of climate change, and the direct impacts on global investment markets. Some articles are talking about new risk and reporting standards that will see environmental, social and governance standards built into the IFRS accounting standards in the years ahead. Beyond that, some stories are talking about the newfound political paradigm emerging. More and more countries are committing to legally binding climate-neutral targets by 2050. This has been given added impetus recently by the change in US administration and the recommitment to the Paris Accord. You can expect further commitments from countries, companies and industries leading up to COP25 in Glasgow in December. So where does our industry and the WTTC sit in all this? Well, to be honest, it's a mixed bag. We all know that before the pandemic, the travel and tourism sector supported 1 in 10 of all jobs around the world and contributed to 10.4% of global GDP. However, we cannot ignore the fact that our sector is also responsible for a very substantial greenhouse gas emissions. Our industry does not have a good history around action on climate change, and it is time for that to change. There is no doubt that WTTC members are increasingly engaged on sustainability issues. In fact, it was off the back of member surveys that the WTTC announced a series of goals and plans in September 2019, not least of which was to become climate neutral by 2050. But actions since then have not been what we would have liked. In Q3 last year, the WTTC, recognising this, asked me to take on a new vice chair position to specifically look at coordinating our sustainability efforts. We know that every firm and every subsector of our industry is different. So whilst we recognise the need for action, we also recognise that we are all at different stages and have different requirements. So to plan our progress, we did 2 things. Firstly, we established a CEO-level member committee that reports directly to the operating committee of the WTTC. This is the committee I chair. Secondly, we formed a task force to examine key sustainability issues and recommend pathways forward on each issue. Our strategy is founded on 3 pillars: climate, the environment, and people. We now have over 40 individuals from different member companies contributing to these plans, and I'd like to publicly thank those individuals for the work they've done to date. But the progress we're making has highlighted an inconvenient truth. Some companies are well advanced on sustainability. They understand the issues and the impacts, what to measure, and the actions and mitigations required to improve their performance. But many others do not. They might be too small or too early on their journey. That's understandable, and to be frank, we see as one of our roles at the WTTC is to create pathways and understanding and practical guides to assist you with the changes you need to start making. But there is a warning here. Claiming ignorance on climate change or other issues around sustainability is no defence in the future. We know that some members prefer to keep their head in the sand and pretend that there is no need to change their ways. Ultimately, that's a decision for each company to make on their own. But generally speaking, your customers, investors, regulators, and even your employees have already made the call. It is time for change, and you better get on board if you don't want to be looking like a dinosaur of the industry. I'd like perhaps to illustrate the journey that lay ahead of you with that of my own business, Intrepid Travel. I don't want to grandstand here, as we're a very long way from perfect, but ours is an interesting example how change can happen and the benefits of that change. In 2005, we started to become aware that the world had a problem with the issue of climate change. Worse, as a global travel business, Intrepid was a direct contributor to that problem. So we set out to understand the issue better. We talked to our supply chain, our staff, our customers, and we read a lot. We all agreed we needed to do something, but no one could quite agree on what, how, and in particular, who should pay. To cut us a long story short, we started measuring our emissions, started setting targets on those emissions, and then reducing them where we could. We then offset the balance of emissions that we couldn't reduce, and by 2010 we were audited and declared to be a carbon neutral company. The journey hasn't stopped there, and last year we adopted science-based targets to ensure that our carbon reduction plans and the business activity was in accordance with Paris-based global targets. We've also joined about 300 other companies in forming the NGO Tourism Declares a Climate Emergency. Maybe you should join up too. It hasn't been an easy journey for Intrepid, but we are proud of our progress. Perhaps best of all, and maybe the most surprising element though, is the success that our shareholders have achieved since the joining up on this journey in 2005. Intrepid's sales and profitability have continued to grow year on year since making these commitments. The Net Promoter Score our customers give us is much higher than it used to be back then, and our staff engagement score is also significantly higher. The reality is we are a better company in every way than we used to be. Such is the power of taking a progressive approach to social and environmental issues, and such is the lesson for other companies listening to us today. To be perfectly honest, it is much easier to do this work than it was 15 years ago. And so I leave you today with an invitation to join the journey. Decide what you want your company or your destination to stand for, and then embrace the sustainability agenda of the WTTC and the tools that we are creating together to help make that happen. And as you embark on this journey, be sure to bring your customers, your staff, your shareholders, and your partners with you. Work with them, not against them. The rewards of doing so are spectacular. If we work together, not only will the results be better for our own organisations and for the industry more generally, but we'll also manage to preserve the destinations on which our industry is based. And at the end of the day, isn't that what sustainability is all about? Thanks very much for your attention. Have a great conference.
Thank you. Thank you to Darrell, and also to the team that has been so busy working towards sort of a sustainability strategy, a renewed commitment for WTTC. Now to talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice issues, we're going to hear from founder and president of the Roommate Group, Kike Sarasola. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. 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 Oh, I'm here. Fine. First of all, thank you all very much. Gloria, all the team. It's so important that we are all here today. The industry, that we show the world that we can do it. We can do something safe. We have one voice, and we have to use it strongly. And I think this voice of the WTTC is very important, that after these days, we send strong messages back to the public sector and to everybody in general. I think it is very important that they understand that we are the solution. We are not the problem. Many countries, in Europe especially, and many other places, we have been attacked, even here in Mexico. Our tourism is like something that is not good to be talked about. We are the fifis. We are like, no, 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 don't be wrong. We are the ones who are going to create the new jobs. We are the ones who are going to take the economy up. So please, let's all unite and give WTTC the energy and the force that it needs to really put our messages through. When we were talking the other day with the public sector, and they were talking about, actually I loved very much the Greek minister. I thought he was very intelligent, great to propose ideas. But I told him something very interesting. Is okay, if you want to lead, lead, but do it. Because up to now, the job has been quite frankly miserable with the vaccines. We just have vaccines in the rich countries. What about that? We have to make it available to everybody. And I don't know what you have to do. Like President Santos said, either publicize it, public it, take it away, but we have to do something. This is unacceptable. So we do have to tell them, like, private sector is the one who knows the clients. When we were in the pandemic, we wanted to help. So with my team, we decided to donate 16 of our properties to the health workers and everybody surrounding the pandemic. We were in the first wave because my hotels are basically in Italy or in Spain. So we offered our hotels to become hospitals. But they came back to us saying, your hotels are very much in the center of the cities, they cannot be hospitals. So I said, we were very frustrated. So I said, okay, what do we do? Let's donate them for medical staff, because they were scared to go back to their houses, so they were sleeping at the hospitals. So we donated our properties to medical staff. We donated our hotels to people elderly who were in the residences, and they had to leave because everybody was dying in the older residences. In Paris, we donated to the firemen and to the people working in the morgues because they were overwhelmed by work and they didn't know where to stay. In New York, we gave it to the nurses. And I tell you, that has been the most incredible experience of my life. It was amazing how my team united, how solidarity in all these countries, Spain, the States, France, Italy, solidarity. And you know from where? Basically from our industry. Our industry was the one who really joined in and put forces to help the people that were in need. And we should be recognized for that, and we should make it known. We were the ones who helped, and we are going to be the ones who have the solution. When I was talking yesterday and I was hearing so many things about sustainability, I have to say yes. But what about human sustainability? We're talking about the planet, and I agree. I'm the first one who has the uniforms in my hotels are all recycled plastic bottles, from the shoes to the jackets, everything. I believe in sustainability. But right now, we have to focus on human sustainability. In the people, one side are guests, and the other side people who work with us. When I was flying one of my trips over the Atlantic, I didn't know what to do to help my staff, and I wanted really to help. And I invite the CEOs to do this test. I decided I was going to give 1 extra week vacation to all my staff. My financer came and said, my CFO, are you crazy? How are we going to do that? I said, study it. I am sure it's going to be a much less cost than what you think. And of course, not hiring more people, but paying extra hours, we managed to implement 1 week more of vacation to all my staff, and it was less than 1% of my payroll. What does that mean? I would love to take them up at 10% in their salaries. I can't afford it. But if I give them 1 extra week, which is equal to 33% average of their private time with their family, which is something that in the future, we heard Brian Chesky talk yesterday, very interesting. This is what's going to happen, quality time. We also gave my staff, there's always disruption between when somebody has a child, the women have more time and the men don't. We equaled it to the same amount, men and women. So these two little things made a big difference in my staff, and that is what I call human sustainability. If we start talking about our guests, our client, I think it is much more important that we talk about, we have a new client, like it has been said these days, that is going to stay longer with us. A client that needs more pampering, more something real experience, a local one. So I'm telling, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it fantastic that we are living in these incredible times when we can have a new client that is a different one. It's a challenge. We really have to think, our next meetings, we have to think, Gloria, how we can really up to the standards to make them feel different, to make them feel that they are taken care of. I think that is going to be the future, human sustainability in the guests. I believe that, okay, technology, I'm pro-technology, but let's not forget something, ladies and gentlemen. We can smile directly at our client. We can say hello. Even with a mask, you can see when somebody's smiling at you with their face. We can touch their hands and say, yes, that's a person. That we can never forget that that's our biggest asset, that we are like this with our client. So we really have to be thinking, yes, we want to know them. We want to take care of them. We want to make their life easier. We are makers of dreams. The dreams is what people have to return to. They have been suffering. They have been sick. They have been unable to see their families. We can bring back that joy. Isn't it fantastic that our industry can give back to the world something that they need? They need to be able to go see their friends, their parents, have shorter trips. They said yesterday that the trips are going to be shorter and with friends, with family. Quality time, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to have now is a quality client. So let's change the chip and let's go for it. Let's go tell them, yes, our industry is here. We are going to make you dream. Of course, dreams have to be simple. Because if a dream becomes with problems of queues, of paperwork, it becomes a nightmare. So we have to tell our public sector, yes, we know our clients and they want to dream. So a dream makes it easier for them to live, to travel, to do what we know how to do best. Give them back joy, give them back what we know is the best for them. And like I said, I think we're all here. Of course we want to make money, but we're all here because we love our industry. And if you don't, so sorry for you, but I do. I love my industry, I love what we do, and I know you all do. So let's make it a difference. Let's change the world and give back to them what they really want. Dreams, and to come and visit their friends, their families, and stay with us. And we are the motor that can do that. Thank you.
Since I have you in the flesh for this flash learning, let me just ask that question to you. If you look back at 2025 or 2030, on this decade that began with a pandemic, what is it that you will hope you will have done for your business and the people in the planet that came out of what you learned over this COVID year?
I think something that we all should learn, and for me, a smile. If I get a smile in return to what I do and see that somebody is happy and is dreaming with all our sector in the traveling, staying at a hotel, and giving back that people to enjoy back life right now, I will be very happy with that.
Thank you very much for that.